Victor Marx has been to some of the most dangerous places in the world, and he's been face to face with some of the most dangerous people along the way. He is a high-risk missionary, and his goal is to raise up a generation of dangerous men.
Victor Marx is head of All Things Possible Ministries and a high-risk missionary. A former Marine, Victor has taken more than 100 trips to some very dangerous places, bringing rescue and relief. The things he's seen and done have sharpened his perspective on life and what really matters. He believes the men of today need more courage. In a new book, The Dangerous Gentleman, Victor lays out the path for men to become courageous in a culture of fear.
I'm honored Victor Marx is here with us now. Welcome.
It's good to be here, Andrew.
You have a friend with you today.
Yeah,
Who's with us?
We brought Reagan today, our 7-year-old Belgian, and she's been with us to Iraq and Syria, and yeah, we're grateful for her.
Likes the camera, it looked like, too.
Oh, yeah.
You guys have been through a lot together.
We have, and we're thankful to Baden Canine, who provided and still does all of our canines for the work we do. And
I want to let people know, too, a lot of you already know Victor, but some of you may think he looks familiar because you're actually, don't YouTube it now, don't go to the internet right now, but you hold the world record for fastest gun disarming and unloading, right? Do you still hold that record?
I do.
Under a second?
Yeah, 0.8 of a second. So yeah, those videos, I think they've amassed over 1 billion views right now.
Incredible.
Yeah.
All right, you're a former Marine, 7th degree black belt, right. High-risk missionary. I mean, in Iraq doing ministry work, incredible. Yeah. I mean, how do you sum that up?
Well, people go, man, you must be some type of super saint. I'm like, no. I just go to places so dark that you can be a spark for the Lord, and it comes off bright. And I think that's what I want to do at this point in my life, being an older lion, and that's the purpose of the book, The Dangerous Gentleman. We need young men and men in America who claim faith, but also those who don't, to step up and start leading, because we are in a very bad place right now.
Your resume is incredible, very interesting. A number of years you spent in, would you call them youth prison? Youth
prison facilities.
What you saw there and experienced, talk about what you went through serving in that capacity.
Well, I tell you, it really showed the results of a fatherless nation. For men not stepping in the role as dads, and you see the outcome of it. I mean, think about it. I was born in the 60s, and the majority, 70-something% of families, there was a father and a mother to raise the children. Without a dad in the house, you lose your provider, protector, and really someone to correct young men. So because of this and where we are, our culture, again, we're in a bad spot. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say something that's going to offend some people, and that's okay, because some people need offending. The church has really messed up to the point of, I think the model in the DNA of the church in America is bad. And it needs to be changed, because making the pastor or teacher some type of celebrity up on a pedestal, you may grow a church or a following, but if you're not making disciples and men who will put their faith in action, then you failed.
Your journey started with a really horrific childhood, right? Can you share just a little bit about what you experienced? It's kind of made you who you are in some ways.
It has, and I thank God he's a great redeemer. But as a child, you know, my father didn't claim me as his kid. My mother married 6 times, and I was abused and tortured as a kid and left for dead. So it required a lot of therapy, 123 visits to a trauma specialist over a 9-month period. And I know how the effects of abuse and that type of stuff will affect you even later in life. So my only hope was Christ and the Word. And again, not just the standard of regular Christianity doesn't really work for me. It had to be a strong personal relationship with the Lord.
With that type of trauma, how did you find the Lord and receive his love?
Yeah, I was actually in the Marine Corps doing what I thought it took to be a man, which was wrong. There were masculine aspects of it. But a lot of people say, hey, Dangerous Gentleman, is it toxic? There is toxic masculinity in the nation. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about understanding God as a loving father. And what happened was my biological dad came back into my life through a letter, and he invited me to church. And it was through him that I received Christ at this church service. So I love the church. I love pastors who stand up for what they should, but I'm here to exhort those that are doing it for a vocation or profession or trying to do it for the ego. They should probably get out of the church and let men who know how to lead. Or if you're a really good teaching pastor, my deal is get a man who is a leader to lead your men's group, to raise up men, to let them really unleash them to do what they're called to do, which is fight a cultural war. Not just women anymore, but men need to step up. I mean, they're applauding children having stuff cut off of them or giving them pills. I'm fed up with the church being quiet and apathetic. My bride and I, we were in a film called Letter to the American Church. And if there's something I would tell people to do is watch that right now. It's as critical to our time as it's ever been for the church to wake up.
You know, and I guess a lot of this comes out of, in reading your book, I found myself having greater empathy toward these young people locked up in these youth prisons. I mean,
Yes.
you encountered children that had horrific childhoods,
Yeah.
even one girl, a teenage girl with a demon, right? And
Yeah.
that was a fascinating encounter in your book.
Yeah, which proves we're in a war. Men don't have to go overseas. Men don't have to take up arms to be able to fight the battle that's needed. It's right here in America. And there's very strong demonic activity. We have a film called The Unseen War. And we encourage people to watch that to really understand the battle that we're in. And I think once men do, and they start getting unafraid because of the power of God's Spirit and solid teaching of the Word, they'll step into the battle of this culture and we'll win it back.
I was particularly struck, you tell men to hate their life.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, Victor. What do you mean, hate my life?
Well, I guess to the current philosophy of the church, maybe not. But those are the words in red. Jesus said, hey, if you want to gain your life, you need to lose it. And he said, deny yourself daily, pick up the cross and follow me. So that's what men need to do. Follow Jesus, not necessarily a pastor, and make God your father, because that's the only answer in our nation for a fatherless nation for generations now. And for some of the older lines to step in. I got a friend, and Mike O'Malley, and he just took 18 young men ages 18 to 25, brought them to our training center to do a little physical training. But the whole deal, he's a 90-day program to see, and they work jobs. It's like you get up at 5:30, you be disciplined, because men in America right now, especially young men, need to learn how to be physically disciplined, emotionally stable, and spiritually strong.
You're very confident, you're bold, you're assertive, but you're under authority too, aren't you?
That makes all the difference in the world. Otherwise, I would just be some brash guy. People would go, well, he's loud or he's bold, but for what? I'm under the authority of Christ, who's given me a purpose and a passion. And my greatest accomplishment is not hurting bad people's feelings overseas or rescuing women and children, but it's being married to my bride for 35 years, having 5 children, which it isn't easy, and now we have 5 grandkids.
Well, you're a very courageous, brave guy, but in reading this book, a lot of the courageous decisions going to these war areas, she said, let's do it.
Oh, my gosh.
You were following her.
True. 4 months ago, we were in Iraq. Like, this isn't old stuff. 4 months ago, we did a rescue of a woman who had been held captive 9 years by ISIS, had 2 children in captivity, 6 months planning, 5 days of execution. We won't get the details, but I will say this. She led the team. And when she's putting on her kit and gear, I said, can I just record you? Because I don't think people would ever understand. And when I saw her put a grenade in her pocket, and then we prayed, I'm like, well, if manifestation of evil calls for us to protect children or women ourselves, we're prepared to. But God gave us favor, and we were able to get that lady back and her children after being gone for 9 years.
Quick question, last one. As a guy, when you're struggling, I mean, there are times you're weak,
Completely.
right? So what do you do? How do you find support and strength?
Well, in our weakness, His strength is made perfect. I consider myself an ordinary guy that God has allowed me to be part of Him doing extraordinary things. So don't think you got to be a knuckle dragger and big thick neck to be a dangerous gentleman. we run our lanes, and you start right in your home as a man. And as a single man, practice purity, because there's power in it, and you're preparing for your future wife.
Yeah. Well, whether you're a man, a woman, a teenager, adult, this book will make you throw the covers off the bed and get up and do something good for somebody. It's called The Dangerous Gentleman, available nationwide. Victor, thanks so much for being with us.
And thank you for being a dangerous gentleman.
All right,
You're wrong, brother.
I'm trying. On my way.